Hey friends, welcome back to another Zx7R video. What we're going to be doing today is a whole bunch of miscellaneous things, updating you about where we're at, and then telling you about what the future is going to look like because we're getting really close to finishing this thing up. This is the current state of the motorcycle. It's exactly in the same condition as when you last saw it in the startup video. So let's go ahead and talk about what we are going to accomplish today. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing today, and I know that this seems like little things and just kind of random, but these are all things that need to be done at some point in order for the bike to be finished. And I'm going to explain kind of what the next steps are, because the next steps after this are going to be pretty major. So right now what we're going to do is get some of these little things done, and then I'll tell you what's next. So first things first, we have some cool carbon fiber stuff that I was going to put on the triple tree, then also the speedometer, which will take me all of 2 seconds. Same thing with a cool brake reservoir cover, which I'll show you. But really what we're going to be doing as far as work goes is we're going to install some frame sliders, and then we're going to put on some new levers. The stock levers right now have a lot of play in them, and they have a whole bunch of scratches on them from when the bike was down previously. So what we're also going to do is put these frame sliders on. That way if the bike ever does go down for me or the future owner, these fairings are protected, because these fairings are super rare and you definitely do not want to damage them. So that's why we're going to be installing frame sliders. I know that this is boring little stuff, but just trust me, when the bike is finished, everything will come together. I promise you, the bike is going to look amazing. So let's just go ahead and get started so that I can get to the end of this video where I'm going to talk about what the future plans are. Just wanted to show the quality of these. So the OEM lever that I had on here before, there was so much play in that lever. Like I can move it up and down, almost half an inch up and down. But as you can see here, these don't move at all. Super tight. That feels fantastic. Not a lot of play in this whatsoever. So very happy with the quality of these, and they look fantastic. One important note on the ZX7 is when you take off your clutch lever, this little guy goes inside this hole here. You're going to want to make sure that you save this and don't lose it, because you have to put that on your new lever. So don't lose this. This is very important. So now we're going to be putting on our frame sliders, and they go right here on both sides, which is your engine mounting bolt. And it's important to note that on the other side of this engine mount, if I can get this to maybe focus, there's a nut back here. You want to make sure you don't drop or anything. It's back here, right there, which is hard to see on the camera. There you go, you might be able to see the back end of it. Right there, up there. So what we're going to do is loosen these up, that way we can get these frame sliders in. Another important note is that these frame sliders are cut frame sliders, so unfortunately I will have to drill a hole in the fairing for these to pop through, but I have to say that it is absolutely worth it, because the fairings on the ZX7 are insanely rare, and keeping them in good condition without any cracks or anything if the bike falls over is nearly impossible. I went through like 3 sets of fairings just to complete a full set of fairings for the Zx7R. I went through like 3 different fairing sets because I'd buy one and the right side fairing was cracked but the left wasn't, so I'd buy it for that. And then the next fairing set I got, the left was cracked but the right wasn't, so I've just been piecing together a fairing set for this because they're so rare and hard to come by. So yes, I will be cutting a hole in the fairing for the frame slider, but it's for a good cause. That way the fairings stay in good shape if for whatever reason the bike ever does go over. So let's go ahead and start the install of these guys. Important to note that of the two frame sliders that you get, one of them is going to be longer than the other. This side goes on the left side, which is what you just see me take off. This side goes on the right, so the longer side goes on the left. Inside the frame slider, there is a spacer. Just want to make sure that that is in there. So go ahead and plop that in there. And then we also have two bolts, and one is longer than the other. And because this one is longer, we're going to be using the longer bolts. And once again, this is where we just took our engine bolt out. And behind here, I can use my flashlight. What I'm going to do is take out this nut that's there and replace it with the new one that they provided. So, see if I can do this with one hand. Give me a second. There we are. So we're going to replace this with the one that they provided us. The nut stays in place because there are like little things so that the nut doesn't spin when you put this in there. So this is the old bolt, the old nut, and this is our new one. So we're going to go ahead and put this in there. The way this sits in there is it sits in like a little cove, if you will, or like a little spot where there's things in there to stop this from spinning. That way when you tighten the bolt, this doesn't move. Just so you are aware. Nut goes in first. Again, you don't have to do anything behind because that nut stays in place by itself. All you gotta do is tighten it slowly till it catches and you're good to go. Simple as that. Let's do the other side. And just a few finishing touches for the finish of the episode before I talk to you about future plans. We got some carbon fiber stuff. Yes, it is fake carbon fiber, but I like to do this on my bike so that the spot around where you put the key in doesn't get all scratched up from like your keychain and everything, so that's the purpose of that. This is just to match it, make it look cool. And then of course we have a brake reservoir cover, and I want to talk to you about this because I'm thinking about making my own brake reservoir covers with some cool sayings and stuff like that. So that's the purpose behind this. So let's get into it and I can talk to you a little bit more about that. So this gets placed here, and again, the reason for this is because when you have a key here and you have a keychain, maybe you have a whole bunch of keys on it or something like that, what happens is you start to get some weathering of the spot that's here underneath it because of keys and different things. And this not only looks cool with the carbon fiber, but also it stops that from happening. So that's why I got this. I understand that this is fake carbon fiber. However, I will be disclosing some other things I have for the bike, which are real carbon fiber, which is another rare part that I've been talking about. So I'm excited to show you guys what I have that is real carbon fiber. Something I'm very excited to install on the motorcycle. But that looks good, love that. Next up, in order to match that look, what we're gonna do is take off this silver plate here so that we can put the matching carbon fiber on there. The finishing touch for today's video is something very simple, a brake reservoir cover. Now, I know that this is simple, and the reason why I included this in the video is because I'm thinking of creating my own store and making my own brake reservoir covers for motorcycles. The reason for that is because if you look online, there's quite a few to choose from, but nothing that I really like. They're all kind of sayings that are really kind of dumb, in my personal opinion, and something I really wouldn't want to put on my motorcycle. Some of them say like drop a gear and disappear. Some of them say panty dropper. You know, sayings that have to do with women and different things like that, which really isn't my taste and my cup of tea. This is the only one that I've ever liked, and I've had this on several of my motorcycles because riding motorcycles does move the soul. So, like I said, I'm thinking of creating my own store at some point. That way I can create my own brake reservoir covers. So yeah, I'm thinking of creating my own store, and something that I like to sell is brake reservoir covers. I'd like to sell some that actually have some cool sayings on them that people actually want to put on their motorcycle, and not things that have to do with, I don't know, provocative language and just stupid stuff that I want to put on my motorcycle. So let me know if that's something that you guys would be interested in, because I've been thinking about it for a long time, and if there's interest, then maybe I'll start doing it sooner than later. So now what I like to do is talk about what the future holds and what's to come. Well, bet you guys didn't see this coming. We have a front brake upgrade. Drum roll please. Brembos. Now there is a catch with these. These Brembos are actually off a previous generation Zx7R. They came off a 92 Zx7R. So the only thing that I have to do in order to install these is change the offset bracket, which I have yet to get my hands on. So for those that are knowledgeable in the Zx7R community, if someone could please point me in the direction of a conversion bracket, that way I can run these Brembos, that would be amazing. Essentially what I need is a different offset bracket that will allow me to mount these to the front forks. I already have steel braided brake lines. These are Kevlar, and we have new levers, so I don't need that. The rotors are a direct swap. So this is very exciting. This is one of those rare parts that I've been telling you guys about that I would like to install on the motorcycle. Next we have just another essential, which is a new rear tire, because the one that's on the bike right now is shot. Holy flat spot, right? So we have to put that new rear tire on. That is absolutely essential before we can start riding. Next we have real carbon fiber front and rear fenders. This is another one of those rare parts that I was excited to show to you guys. These came off a Zx7R race bike. Again, these are real carbon fiber, and I'm really excited to get these on the motorcycle. They look absolutely awesome, and they are in excellent shape. The rear tire hugger, I do have to drill another hole in somewhere on the back of the bike for it to fit, because there isn't a hole for one of the spots that it's supposed to mount, so I do have to drill that and get it threaded so that we can get this mounted. And then of course we have the OEM fairings. I'm not going to take those down right now, they are up there, but it's a complete set of OEM fairings with no cracks, no problems, and it took me a long time to source those. And that will be the finishing touch. So that's how close we are to finishing the motorcycle. We really don't have all that much left to do. Really, it's just a matter of time for me. I've been really busy with my business because I do have my own company, so that's been taking up a lot of my time. Then also going through some personal endeavors, so really just trying to chip away at this as much as I possibly can. But that's how close we are to being finished. I would love your thoughts on everything. And as far as the brakes go, if you have an idea and a recommendation for those offset brackets that I can get, then please let me know, because I could use some help with that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next part of the ZX7R build series.